All right, welcome to the Chamber Chat. Jocelyn and I are very excited about this one because I think there's so much, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to keep on time on this one. So we're at Beasley's Orchard. I think this is one of Hendricks County's. I don't say you're the best kept secret anymore, but I think you're one of the best spots in Hendricks County. So
Thank you.
We're honored to have you guys in Danville. So if you guys would introduce your guys' selves and just tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then I'll start asking questions. I'll rapid fire.
Deal.
Well, my name's Calvin Beasley, and I'm third generation owner here at the farm. I grew up here, and I took over in 2015, and nowadays I primarily focus on the production side of the business, which is the agricultural side. So I focus on the growing and selling and packing and storage of all of our fruits and vegetables. And that's kind of my big passion. So I consider myself super lucky because I get to wake up and work in ag every day and find ways to grow food that people get to come out and see how it's grown and enjoy and pick it themselves. And I think that's a really cool thing.
And I'm Brittney Beasley. I married into the Beasley family in 2019. This will be my 10th fall, 9th or 10th fall, working the festival season. But I just came on full time about a little over a year and a half ago. I am primarily the inventory manager, so I do a lot of the ordering for our retail market. I also do all of our Instagram marketing, social media marketing. I send out a weekly email newsletter, so a lot of the marketing stuff that's digital, and then I help with some of the other retail market management side of things.
So Calvin, when you were growing up here, because you grew up on the farm, correct?
Yep.
Did you think when you were, 10 years old, this is what I want to do?
When I was really young, I was obsessed with tractors and farming, and I spent a lot of time with my dad on the tractor or with our field crews out in the field. So I definitely went through a phase in early childhood where it's all I could think about. But when I got a little bit older, I actually thought I wanted to go off and do my own thing. So when I went to college, I really wasn't planning on coming back here, at least not right away. And just sort of the way things worked out, my dad had some health problems and somebody needed to come back and help run the business, and I did. And he unfortunately passed away in 2017, but that really thrust me fully into the farming side of the business, which is where I discovered that, that's what I wanted to do. So it was kind of serendipitous, really, that I discovered it, because as a young adult, I did not think that I wanted to be a full-time farmer.
What did you go to school for?
I went to Indiana University and I studied economics. So definitely not anything in the ag realm. I've had to kind of self-educate with all the horticultural science, but I do think that education has served me well, just in terms of running.
You also studied small business management at IU, so that also plays a big role. Not directly agriculture related, but owning and operating a business for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to learn from economics as a whole.
Yes.
And small business.
Absolutely. I mean, every farm is still a business. And I think there's a lot of farms that aren't necessarily run that way. And I think that's a problem that we have in the industry right now. So I think it's been very useful.
You did physical therapy?
I did, yes.
So total shift for you.
Total 180. And if you had asked me 15 years ago, will you ever live on a farm or know anything about farm operations, I would have laughed and said absolutely not. I grew up in Fishers, so I was a kind of city suburb girl. But yeah, I studied physical therapy and I practiced full-time for 7 years before I came full-time here. But yeah, I had a complete 180 in everything I had been doing and that I had technically studied, but I'm loving it. So I'm finding a way to thrive in it. And so totally unexpected, but I'm loving it. So
welcome to this side of town.
Yes. I'm happy to be here. Really happy to be here. I love it.
All right. So you guys have I think most people know you for your events throughout the year. You guys have extended. You're now open all year round.
Yep.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of talk through the year and what events you guys have and what seasons and kind of when those are. So let's start. You guys have one coming up this month.
Yes, our first event, last year was our first year, this will be our second year doing it, is the Pedal Push 5K. So we are doing it kind of at the end of spring. We tried to time it with apple orchard blooming. And if you know anything about the weather and how it affects the trees and the crops, and you might look outside and say, oh, my trees in my yard are blooming already. So our apple trees are also blooming. So they might be at the tail end of bloom this year, but it's a fun 5K. Mostly a walk. We had a lot of people come out and walk last year and just enjoy being outside and walking the farm and taking pictures and, being in a place that is not usually open to the public. So it's kind of a fun little event to get out and kick off, the spring and summer season. So we have a food truck coming, a coffee truck coming. We've got music. We're going to have yard games and kind of a kickoff to the agritourism season for the year. So we're excited about doing it for the second time.
And so it's a run through the farm.
Yes. Yep. So the course is through different parts of the farm and through the apple orchard and trees and stuff like that. So the course is on grass, dirt, gravel. So it's not like a highly competitive timed, mini marathon type event. It's just like a fun run, get outside, see a part of the farm that you maybe otherwise never would see, and just enjoy some time outside. So yeah. But it's on the farm. I'm
excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. All right. So then we go into what's next? Strawberry picking?
Strawberry picking season. Yep. And that'll start a little bit early this year as well.
Trending that way.
Typically starts towards the end of May. This year we're looking more like mid-May. Everything's pushing a little bit early, so including strawberries. It's going to get cold tonight, so we are covering up the strawberries today, and that's taken us a lot of the day today to protect those plants. But so strawberry picking will start mid-May this year, and usually runs for about a month and a half through the end of June. We got 8 acres of strawberries this year for people. 10 acres of strawberries.
8 for you pick. 10.
8 for you pick. 2 for market sales. So it'll be a long season, and hopefully we can get people out early to start picking those in mid-May, because it'll be a little bit of a shift. But yeah.
And so if somebody comes out, what do they expect when they're coming out for you pick strawberries?
Well, what do they expect, or what should they expect?
what should they expect? I mean, do they just get a basket? Here you go, and do they pay per pound? How does that work?
Yeah, so this year we are changing it just slightly, but the field is in a part of the farm where you have to take a hayride to, which is really cool because you get to see the farm during a time where everything's really green, things are growing really nicely. It's a totally different aesthetic than what you get in October. So we always tell people to look forward to that. You can see like really small apples on the trees and things like that, and it's actually, I think, my favorite time of year to show the farm off. Nothing's gone wrong yet, right? There's no weeds, there's no like disasters anywhere. So everything just looks pristine. So there will be like a small fee, which is like a field fee, which gets you access to that hayride and it gets you out into the field. And then once you're there, you get your bucket, and then you can pick as many strawberries as you want while you're there. And then when you're done, you just hop on the wagon and you come back and you pay.
And it is per pound.
Yep, and it is per pound.
Okay.
The bucket, if you pick one bucket, it's about 5
4.5
pounds,
to 5
right?
pounds.
It's like 4 quarts in a bucket. So,
Okay.
And that's a good, like a lot of families will pick a bucket, but then we have plenty of people that come out and they'll pick,
3, 4, 5
buckets. Yeah. They'll do it the same day. They'll because they'll do something, they want to take them home and get them in the fridge, and they'll come back and pick more. So it's a really good time. We do have our concession stand that's going to be open on the weekends. We'll try to have some other, maybe like food truck options and things out here, because the weekends have gotten to the point where it's almost October levels of people coming out, which is awesome. We want to try to make sure we're providing like really good environment for those people while they're here.
I love that.
Yeah. So raspberry picking and flower picking sort of overlap a little bit with strawberry season. So if you kind of wait, if you come towards the end, you might be able to do all 3 in one day, which is you spend the day at the farm, right? You come on a Saturday, you got several hours. So raspberry picking starts mid to late June. And that's more of a walking experience. You walk to the raspberry field, which is just to the west of the barn a little bit. You get your bucket out there, same bucket of strawberries, pay per pound. And we're planting Black raspberries.
We're planting, this week actually we'll be planting more raspberries and then more black raspberries. So in the past we've only had a few black raspberry plants, and there's been a lot of interest in those. So we're planting quite a bit of them. And then we're planting red raspberry varieties that will allow us to extend the season.
Oh,
so
nice.
not this year, but in the future, the red raspberry season will start more during the peak of strawberry season, and then it will extend longer.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So we're excited
And then the
about that.
zinnia flower field overlaps, starts in June as well. And that lasted last year. We actually had to go out and cut down the zinnia flower field to begin our fall festival season. So they lasted a lot longer than they did the previous year. So that goes on for several months, and that's it's open every day. You pay a field fee to go in, take pictures, things like that. And then there are jar size options. And if you just want to pick a couple flowers, there's pricing for that as well. So we kind of have something really going on from May to the end of August.
You know, the sunflowers will be in there in July, which are just the way that we do those now is they're in addition to the flower field. So, so it's like you can come, like she said, from mid to late June all the way through mid-September for zinnias and other flowers. And then the sunflowers will be, sometime mid to late July, most likely, depending on when we plant them.
And are these only open on the weekends, or are they open through the week as well?
Open through the week as well. And weather permitting. So summertime, we get a lot of summer storms. If it's unsafe to go out to the field or take a hayride wagon out during a lightning or rainstorm, we always post on our social media and update whether or not it's open that day. Otherwise, it's open anytime we're open during the week and the weekends.
So locals can come through the week where it's not as crowded and enjoy. Obviously, you don't have food trucks and stuff through the week, but there's still a cider bar.
Yes, the cider bar you can always get those, and we have been making donuts just on the weekends, but that'll increase as our busy season comes on too. So we'll have those through the week as well. So.
Did you see Jocelyn when she saw the donuts for the first time? It was when she was in the gnome costume. She literally starts jumping up and down. She's like, these
donuts, we need these.
I think we bought a package and they were gone the next day.
Yeah, they don't last long, that's for sure. They're good,
So now we're into Fall Festival, correct?
Yep.
Yes, other than we have one new event that we're gonna try to introduce this year, which we just decided a couple weeks ago, is a corn festival at the end of August or mid to late August. So we're gonna have all corn themed things, corn themed food, cornhole tournament. So we're gonna make it all about the corn. We don't have a lot of events going on in August other than the flower picking, and so that's something we're gonna try to get up and going for this August. So it'll be our first year doing that. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Nothing better than corn on the cob.
Oh, Indiana sweet corn. I mean, we don't eat sweet corn the rest of the year.
No,
if it's not our sweet corn when it's in season, we don't eat it or buy it. So it's like I gotta freeze it, keep it for all year round so that I have it to eat. But yeah, it should be a fun event, and some themed photo ops and some corn related games and crafts and vendors and music and things like that. So that'll be new right before the fall season kicks off.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Hey, you heard it here.
That's right. I know this is the first time we've talked about it. So, just decided.
Now we have to do it.
Now we have to do it. We have a date picked. It's coming. So yeah.
All right. So then Fall Festival, which I feel like, in my opinion, was kind of one you started with, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right.
No doubt.
All right. And so that one's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to give the history of?
Yeah, so my parents started, it's really like the first agritourism that we engaged in back in the 80s. They started doing hay rides to the pumpkin patch. And that's it's kind of the genesis of the modern business, really, that we are today. And then the first Heartland Apple Festival was in 88, right?
It's 86.
86.
Because this will be our 40th year.
This will be the 40th year, yep.
Okay.
So, and then from there, around 99, 2000 was the first corn maze.
Okay.
And then they just kept adding things. And then when I got out of school and came back, that was really my focus the first couple of years, trying to add more agritourism and build up the fall. And now we're to where we're doing 7 weekends.
Okay.
And we run everything every single day during the week. Of course, we're open for fall break. So it's really transformed into a whole
2-month season. Yeah.
It's crazy. Because it used to just be, it was like 2 weekends, and then it was 3 weekends, and then we added a couple more, and then we tried to be open during the week for fall break, and now we're just open full tilt all the way through the season.
7 7 weeks.
7 weekends, 6 weeks, and then usually right after that is FFA week. So it's really
the way that all the FFA kids come out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
grind.
busy couple months.
Shoot. Fall festival. What's your favorite? What's your favorite, like,
Oh, dog
Thing.
days for sure.
Dog days is
dog
everybody's
days, 100%,
favorite.
Yeah.
really?
It's become probably the busiest.
Yeah.
Maybe second to the Heartland Apple Festival second weekend. They're about equally as busy, and dogs are welcome year round in our market. They're welcome to come for like flower events, things like that. But Dog Days is the weekend that the dog rescue groups are in attendance. We donate a portion of the admission sales to the dog rescues that are here. Adoptable dogs are on site. People can apply to adopt the dogs. It's a big dog weekend celebration, and we're big dog and animal people anyway, so we have 2 of our own, and so it's a really fun weekend. We do a dog costume contest and talent contest, and it's included with admission, and the dogs can go on the hayride and the corn maze and do all this stuff with their parents, and so it's a lot of fun for us. But yeah, it's a really busy weekend, but it's the most fun by far. So,
All right.
Yeah.
And then through the holidays, I know you guys do pies.
Yes.
And you do photos with Santa.
Yes.
Anything else in the after fall festival that people should know about?
We do offer Apple shipping boxes, and we have but we do some like corporate gifts with those.
Okay.
It's a really kind of good thing, gift baskets as well, but corporations like to have them because we ship them.
Yeah.
So Apple boxes that have just apples, and then there's some other with jars and stuff options for that. So that's kind of how we stay busy Thursday or November through December is things like that, more like corporate shipping boxes, gift baskets, and then the photos with Santa are 3 different Saturdays, and those have really taken off. I mean, they're sold out most of the days and most time slots. So, and that's kind of when we close is shortly after that for a 2-week break at Christmas time. So,
And that's really all your clothes now.
yes.
Because you guys, I'm growing up, or I should say growing up, I was teenage years. You guys used to close pretty
His
much.
parents closed January through June. We opened in June.
Well, we wouldn't, not even June, we'd reopen around 4th of July, whenever the loadout were ready, because there were no strawberries back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sometimes they wouldn't even be open in January. It just depended if there's a big apple crop, they would open back up. And then, when did we stay open all year for the first time? Was it 2021?
Maybe 2020.
I think so.
It's 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, the strawberries were the first thing that forced us to be open earlier.
Right.
And then, from there, it's like, okay, you have a lot of apples and you open in January, and then you have all of these staff members that want to stay on board, and just got to the point where it's easier just to stay open and try to find ways to keep people coming in.
So we've talked a little bit about the events, but you do more than events, obviously.
Yes.
You guys are a working farm.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity a couple of years ago when I did LHC, Leadership in Hendricks County. We came out and I learned so much that day.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin, you took us literally on the wagon and just took us on a tour. We got to see you guys planting, which is totally modernized, which was amazing. So let's talk about ag tourism. What makes it ag tourism? And then kind of things that you do kind of to take everything to the next level here. So,
well, agritourism is a very, I think it's very loosely defined in general, because there's a lot of businesses that participate in agritourism that don't participate in agriculture. And that's not a bad thing. It's just an observation that we've had over the years traveling around and going to other operations. And that's not us. We're very much a farm. So a lot of people don't realize we farm over 225 acres, and it's all specialty crops, which is, 225 acres for a row crop farmer is not a lot, but in the realm of specialty crops like apples and strawberries and pumpkins and sweet corn and vegetables, that's a sizable operation for our area, especially. There's not a lot of that around here. So that's a very important part of what we do. That's our heart and soul. When we're coming up with agritourism ideas, we're usually trying to tie it into one of the products that we're producing, because we always are looking for ways, how can we get more people from the community to come out and buy produce here, to buy apples, to buy tomatoes, to buy squash, and all of those things. So I would say really everything new that we do from a crop perspective. And there's a couple that come to mind right now that I'm not going to talk about because they're still under wraps. But like we think about growing it first. We think about the production system. How can we plant it? How risky is it going to be? What's the capital investment going to be? And then we think about how can we tie agritourism and direct marketing into this.
Okay.
Because we don't want to. We do wholesale, and we wholesale more and more all the time. But we're never going to go plant a crop solely for wholesale because that's just not what we do. We're not set up for it. We're not big enough to do that. We don't have the economies of scale. But there's so many opportunities to grow things that people will want to come out and see or pick or eat or observe somehow. So I think that's at the center point of who we are as a business is like how we're definitely farmers. I certainly consider myself a farmer. But how can I find a way to create value with the agriculture for the everyday community member and customer?
I love that. I mean, I guess I never really thought about it, but I mean, that makes perfect sense for what you guys do. Have you guys ever ran the numbers of how many people from outside of Hendricks County come? Do you guys know that?
Yeah, we've seen some data over the years from, I know, Visit Hendricks County. They're all about that. Yes, they've shared some data with us in the past, and it is very seasonal. Like this time of year, it's minimal.
It's all regulars and locals.
Yep. But then during those busier peak times,
strawberries, flowers, fall festivals, it increases. Yeah, and I think it's increasing every year.
Yeah.
I mean the percentage, the ratio is increasing more and more to out of county visitors. Yep. So I don't have exact numbers off the top of my head.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think, and I look at it from an economic development standpoint, obviously. I think that you guys have really shown what a business can operate here in Hendricks County in Danville, Indiana, and really grow and expand. But I think also it's something we can look at for our businesses looking to move to Danville. And they say, hey, to me, it's someplace that their employees can come and visit and enjoy and those kind of things. So it's a great opportunity for us here.
Yeah.
So you have, I feel like, modernized a lot of the farming through the years. What are some things that you would say you're very proud of that you guys have since you've taken on?
As far on the production side, I would definitely say our adoption and transition into high density apple production is probably one of our biggest achievements. So when people come out here, if they're picking apples or maybe they're just like looking around the farm, they're going to see a lot of small apple trees, and a lot of them are on a trellis. And that might look unusual to the average person, especially somebody from Indiana. And they might think that those trees are just young or, something's up with them. And that's not the case. So that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to grow small apple trees at a very high density. And when I say high density, I'm talking about the number of trees planted in an acre.
Okay.
So a traditional orchard, a large freestanding tree, what most people probably envision when they close their eyes and think about an apple orchard is going to be like 200 to 250 trees per acre. The system that we most frequently use now, we're planting over 1,200 trees per acre. So the trees are very close together. And without getting overly technical, the main goal of that is just to increase the per acre production, to have higher quality fruit, and to get into production faster. The downside is that it is very expensive. So it's $25,000 to $30,000 per acre to plant an orchard like that. So it's very risky. There's a lot of financial risk. I always tell people, like, if you're like an entrepreneur and you want to go start a business to make money, probably don't try to grow apples because it's not it's not the best rate of return. But I'm very proud of that because I think over the past 6 or 7 years, I'm pretty confident that we've planted as many acres of apples as any farm in the state of Indiana. So I'm not positive about that, but I have a pretty good, we're all friends and I know what other farms are doing. So we've been very aggressive. And it's completely changed our business because we're we're getting to a point now where we have this surplus of apples, and it's allowed us to be more independent in terms of selling the apples and producing cider. We've gotten to work with so many of the local school systems to supply them with apples. And then we're going to have to continue to find new ways to market the fruit as these orchards continue to come into maturity. So that would be the one thing that I would pick if I had to pick only one.
A large improvement, I would say, in terms of agritourism side of things, which is directly related to crop production, is the introduction of U-Pick activities at all. So his parents operated, and the only U-Pick that they offered was pumpkins.
Yeah.
So he, since taking over, and then I have joined in with helping, but have introduced U-Pick apples, which was not an activity here prior to 2017.
17 was the first year.
You pick strawberries, we didn't even grow strawberries. You pick flowers, weren't here, raspberries. So a lot of that kind of like connecting the consumer or the customer to their food and to how it's grown, and seeing that, and picking that berry off of the plant wasn't even something that we offered. And I think it's a really big opportunity for education. I think people really appreciate being able to learn how their food grows, where it grows, go out there to pick it and say, oh, if I buy these in the market, here's where they came from. So I think in terms of agritourism, we've continued to grow the fall festivals, but those were always there. And I think the introduction of U-Pick has been a really big, both a challenge, but also really rewarding and really positive change for us. So,
because when we started doing strawberries, we weren't sure. We're like, will people even want to come out here outside of the fall? Because before we were so, if you looked at our month by month revenue breakdown, it was so heavily skewed towards the fall. And it's just, the response has been awesome. And now it's like, I think I get overly excited about trying to do more U-Pick and more crops and stuff, because I'm like, oh man, like
people want to do this.
Look at this thing that we could do, and everybody looks at me like, are you serious right now? Like, we're really busy enough. But it's cool because we feel like we know how to provide a good experience. I feel like, myself and the farm crew, we know how to grow things, even if we, have to learn a little bit, and we can make things nice to look at, aesthetically pleasing, and then have high quality fruit to go along with it. So it makes it really fun, because we kind of feel like everything's possible now, because we know we have a customer base that will come out and check us out for all kinds of the new stuff that we want to do.
I think it's great for young children. I think so many young kids today don't realize that strawberries don't come from a grocery store.
Right. They all were grown on a farm somewhere. Yes.
They don't come from the grocery store. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's where we get them. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
The apples they come from the grocery store.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and even like coming out during flower season, I think it's beneficial. A lot of times we get customers who will say, hey, we saw bees all through the sunflowers. And we're like, the flowers get pollinated with bees. And so that's an opportunity too for kids to learn what role pollinators play and why we rely on them. And so there's always an opportunity for education when it comes to the public visiting a crop producing area. So I think it's
do you guys do bees here, honey?
We bring bees in.
So we actually, there's a beekeeper that should be out here this afternoon, because with the apples blooming, we have to bring in about 40 hives. But so we work with the local beekeeper. And they spend, throughout the whole summer, usually there are some hives here on the farm because of all the different crops, because we need them for apples, strawberries, cantaloupe, watermelon, pumpkins.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that we grow through.
Cucumbers, all those get pollinated. Their flowers have to get pollinated to produce a fruit or a vegetable. So.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I don't remember you guys having.
No, we don't have our own.
Okay.
No.
But not yet. That would be a fun venture someday, but that's a whole other animal.
I don't know how much fits into agritourism.
Gotta keep their distance.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have done things, I feel like, nationally for ag tourism. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, we both attended some different conferences. So we're members of the Maze, which is a group based out of Utah. So they hold annual conferences every year that we've attended several times. I'm an active member in IFTA, which is the International Fruit Tree Association. So it's a pretty technical organization focused on the science of fruit production and industry trends and production methods. So I try to attend that conference every year. And I actually took our production manager, Zach, with me to Fresno back in February. So that was really cool. That was a very different environment to see fruit production going on. Usually these conferences are in places like Michigan or New York, more similar to Indiana. In California, it's a much longer growing season, totally different. And then, we attend other things. I attend the Great Lakes Expo every year. So that's up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's a conference that's all about farm marketing, agritourism, and then production for all of the fruits and vegetables that you could find in the Great Lakes region.
How do you guys find time to go to the conferences? I'm worn out just hearing about this.
The lucky or the fortunate thing is that and it's by design, obviously, they all happen over the winter, mostly.
Yeah.
December, January, February, March, when all the growers are not off, because we're never really off, but it's slowed way down. So we have more time to do a lot of the things. We prune all winter long. We do equipment maintenance and stuff all winter long, and our retail market's open, but it's less demanding in the number of hours per day or hours per week. So we do have an opportunity to go do those things. And luckily we have a good management staff who we trust to run the market and run the outside operations while we go to those things. So
and all the stuff like we were talking about the high density apple production, and then I think you saw some of the mechanization and stuff when you were out here. None of that would have happened had I not gone on these tours. Excuse me. It's like all of that education, it comes from these conferences. I mean, I don't think I would have picked any of it up if I hadn't gone to that stuff. So I view it as being like critically necessary to. Yeah. It's just like, when she was in physical therapy, they have to do continuing ed all the time, and I think it's the same concept, really.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's imperative, but I think it's interesting because I know locally, I feel like people look to you guys to see what you guys are doing and how you're doing it. So it's interesting that you guys get to go and learn from others. If you were to say, so we're talking about the market. So the market, you guys provide things yourselves, but how do you pick and choose what you guys bring into the market? And how is that determined, yes, this is good enough? Or how do you guys decide?
Yeah, well, a lot of the products that we carry now, were carried when Debbie ran the market and she was the retail buyer. She attended a lot of retail conferences and things like that. A lot of the things you go to have vendor markets that you can go and sample their products. We go to the Farm Machinery Show in Louisville and they have a whole craft and food area. So you can sample things and see, is this quality? Is it something that we think we should carry? We try to carry a lot of local vendors, not just in Hendricks County, but Indiana, Indianapolis in general. We like to carry things where their values align with ours, or things that we like to support. Animals are a big one, but in general, other farms and things like that. And then there are webinars and stuff that I watch too, that I tune into about market trends, what is popular right now, what used to be popular and what's kind of falling off, and so things like that. So there's a lot of resources, which is nice for kind of, we talk to other farms, we talk to other businesses similar to ours, retail markets like ours. Sometimes we go places and we'll say, oh, this product is cool, we should see if they wholesale. And then, and we ask them and they do, or it's something that you can work with. So it's kind of like individual taste, quality, values.
Quality's the biggest one.
Quality's the biggest one. And we like to work locally as much as we can. So yeah, but we're always open to new products, and I'm always kind of switching things out, trying new things, especially as we get busier. And then we obviously do research on what I do most of the winter is look at last year's sales and see, these products did really well at these times, or they did well year round. That's something we want to continue to carry, or this kind of fell off. Why? It did lose popularity, or, so just kind of studying that stuff and making decisions going forward. Yeah.
And then you make choices on the produce that comes in the market. Are you really picky about what you bring into your farm to sell?
Yeah, absolutely. And we were just talking the other night about some of my earliest memories are going to the old Italian produce markets with my dad. As a little kid, he used to bring me, we'd go to Krispy Kreme on the way and then go buy produce. So I've been looking at cases of various produce for about as long as I can remember. I've been listening to grown men argue about the price and quality of the produce for as long as I can remember. And so I was getting educated in that before I even realized it. We have a lot of farms that we source the same product from year after year. So that's a huge part of it. It's just consistency.
Our peaches are the biggest one.
Yeah, the peaches come from the same farm in South Carolina every year. Most of them, sometimes we supplement from other places, but they're all coming from the same region of South Carolina generally. And we know what we're getting from them. We know what varieties they grow. We know when they're going to be ready. And, we sort of have that type of network for a lot of the crops that we're bringing in. And so we have the same people that we work with. I know that they're going to take care of us. That's the big thing in the produce. It's in the produce industry. It's really easy to stack a pallet and put the good stuff on top and the bad stuff on the bottom. And it happens a lot. And, you go, you'll be on a loading dock and you'll look at a pallet of tomatoes and you'll look at the top boxes and you think, these look great. Put them on your truck, you get somewhere and you start unstacking them and you realize that, the bottom half is older or lower quality. So working with people you trust that take care of you is a huge benefit for us. And
a lot of the people that we work with also buy stuff from us. So it's a two-way trusting relationship that will give them good quality. We wholesale tomatoes, pumpkins, melons, strawberries, a lot of squash, things like that, corn. And a lot of sweet corn. And so when we bring things in and they're bringing stuff to us and they're taking stuff from us, they know that relationship, it's a mutual trust and we know that the quality is going to be there. And they work with us really well when it's not. If something is wrong, they're understanding and vice versa. Yeah. So it's good to have those relationships established with people that we trust, farms that we trust.
And there are times, if we can't get something that's going to be good enough, we'll go without.
Okay.
We're not like a grocery store where it's like, oh my gosh, we have to have this product. And it does happen sometimes. And this year, with the weather they had in the southern U.S. with the freezes and everything, there's probably going to be some inconsistencies in the supply chain. And if we can't find something that is good enough to put in the market, we're just not going to have it.
You said right now tomatoes are affected. Yeah. And then I think you said you think your peaches might be affected a bit, correct?
Yeah, the tomato market's pretty erratic right now. Tomatoes are very high and they're very hard to come by. And that's just Florida had a lot of really exceptionally cold weather for them. So they had a lot of plantings that just are not going to mature. And then kind of the same thing with peaches. Some of the southern peach districts were already out of dormancy when that weather came through. So they lost their crop. I think that we're going to be able to source peaches pretty reliably, but I do believe that they'll be more expensive just because of the peach market as a whole. So, and that's typically how any fruit or vegetable, that they're still treated like a commodity. So just like soybean or corn, when there's less of it on the marketplace, you're going to see prices go up. But I do think that we'll still be able to get the same high quality peaches that we're used to.
Oh, great.
And we grow tomatoes. So once our tomatoes come in,
that's right.
The concern is pretty much gone, hopefully. Yeah. But until then, when we're bringing them in from Florida and then Tennessee and then Kentucky, before ours are ready, that's where you'll have some of the inconsistencies.
We only sourced Florida tomatoes until usually mid to late May.
Okay.
And then we'll switch over to Georgia or Tennessee, and I think things will be more normal from there on. Yeah. Which obviously we still have high fuel prices, input prices are high, so I think things are going to be a little higher than last year, but it shouldn't be anything too out of the ordinary.
That was my next question, is that how is, kind of the economic impact right now on you guys as a farm in general, but what you're forecasting for this year and cost? Yeah,
I think right now, so 2022 is a really expensive year in terms of inputs for us, and we're 23 and 24 were more, 23, 24, 25 were more normal. And right now we're more up around that 22 level. So we're seeing obviously high diesel prices, which, everybody who drives is seeing that. But the other effect that has on us is fertilizer is more expensive. And then the trucking for fertilizer is more expensive. The trucking for, pesticides is going up. So, every bill that we get, it's kind of that's
higher than it was.
Yeah, significantly higher than it was. So that it is going to affect things. Labor increases almost every year as well. So it's just kind of, if you're in ag, this is how the last 5 or 6 years have gone, and we're kind of used to it. We just try to raise our prices in a reasonable manner when we have to.
You guys hire a lot of seasonal help.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you guys start doing that? Because I know high school and college kids love to come home and work for you guys.
Yeah, we're starting now.
Okay.
So we attended the Danville High School has a career fair every year, and that's always sort of our kickoff for getting applications in and starting to interview and hire. So that's how I spent my whole morning, actually. I was calling all the applicants and scheduling in-person interviews for next week. So we start hiring those people like late April, early May. And then they stay on, typically, if they're a high school or college student, they'll stay on through the fall season, especially like for the weekends. The fall festival weekends are really busy. So a lot of students work just the weekends. But we have people of all ages apply, people of all ages that work here. But yeah, we're starting now. So our applications are online and available, and I'm calling them. So
Okay.
apply.
If you had to pick one apple to eat,
Oh man.
I gotta ask. I know my family eats them all. I'm sure you eat them all.
Yeah.
But
And sometimes multiple a day. Like
Yeah.
he's testing, like,
Yeah.
are they ready to be picked? Are they not ready to be picked? You know, what's the flavor profile right now? And he'll be like, I'm not even hungry for dinner. I ate 6 apples this afternoon. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, maybe calm down. But he has to try them, so I know he knows.
I try to remind myself just to like take a whole bite
Yeah.
so that I
Yeah.
end up eating the whole thing, which is
Yeah.
I guess a good sign.
Yeah.
Well, so I get asked this a lot,
Okay.
but there's a caveat.
Okay.
So I can't just answer it in terms of what is the best to eat, because I have to live with these trees 365 days a year.
Yeah.
So I have to, they have personalities basically. They
Okay.
have growth habits. Some of them are great. They're easy. It's like they don't give you any problems. And then some of them are nightmares. They get sick. They don't grow right. So I have to judge them based on the whole
Okay.
picture. But I think right now the one that excites me the most is probably Pixie Crunch. I love that apple. It's a small apple, so it's perfect for like an on-the-go snack. You can eat it in like 5 or 6 bites. It's not like a meal, and it's really easy to grow tree, which I won't go into all of that stuff.
Okay.
I also really like Crimson Crisp
Okay.
and Gold Rush. So
Okay.
those are kind of the 3 that I would say are my top 3. I also think that if I had to go start from scratch and like grow 5 acres of apples only for you pick, it might be those 3. Honeycrisp is obviously a very popular apple. As a grower, it's terrible. It's a really, really difficult tree.
They're the hardest apples to
Yeah,
grow.
it's very hard to grow. It has a lot of problems. It's very biennial.
That's probably your family's favorite, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everybody's favorite. That's what everybody
I knew I was like the high maintenance one. I knew it. My husband would call that.
And I love selling Honeycrisp. Love selling them. Once you get them in the bin, you get them in the cooler, they're great
Yeah.
to sell because obviously
They
come
sell
with a premium
themselves.
price.
I mean,
Yeah.
people love them too,
Yep.
so that people know them.
Yeah.
But now we have a lot of Honeycrisp cross.
Like derivatives, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ludacrisp, Evercrisp,
Oh,
Crimson
okay.
Crisp.
Crimson Crisp is not. It's not a Honeycrisp.
There's another one. Does Pixie Crunch have Honeycrisp in it?
No.
Anyway, there's a couple crosses that have Honeycrisp in them. So that's another thing that we try to educate on. Like we have Evercrisp right now.
Mm-hmm.
They keep in our cooler for 6 to 8 months. So we can pick them in November, late October, and keep them through now, So if you're looking for Honeycrisp, they don't keep very long, and they also get worse when they're in storage, and they're just problematic.
Yeah.
But if you want something that's got a Honeycrisp parent, Evercrisp is a good option.
It's a better apple.
But it's a better apple.
It's better.
Yeah, it is. It's better.
It is
I would
definitely
agree.
better.
So now because you were talking about how you crossbreed, do you do that?
we don't
here?
do
No, we
Okay.
don't. We don't.
We
do
don't
any,
propagate.
We don't propagate any trees. We don't even graft any trees,
Okay.
which surprises some people. But that's just not like. Again, back to the high density thing, 1,200 trees per acre. If you're planting 4 to 5 acres a year, it's a lot of grafts to make.
Yeah.
And then if we're grafting trees, we're liable if the graft fails. You buy them from a nursery, that tree dies, they're financially liable for it. So there's a lot of reasons to go through a nursery, and there's some really good apple breeding programs out there right now that are, they'll do 10, 20,000 crosses a year. And of like, say you do 20,000, there might be like 6 that are worthy of continuing evaluation on. So it's a pretty low success rate, but there's some groups that are doing really good work.
Which apple do you guys use to make your pies?
They use a blend.
blend.
Yeah, it depends on the time of the year.
Okay.
But usually, a lot of Jonathan go in, Granny Smith, Golden Delicious.
You want some sweet and some tart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want a good balance of the two.
Yep.
So
That blend is pretty common. But different times of the year, they'll use different things. Same thing for cider. Like it depends on when we're making the cider, what apples go into it.
When can you get cider? All year?
year round. Yep.
My husband told me on the way here, you're going to give me some cider, right?
If you're going out
I'm
there,
like,
you better
yes, I will
get
get you some cider.
Yes, same with apple cider slushies.
Yeah.
They're available year round.
And hard cider.
People don't realize, but yeah, and hard
Hard
cider.
cider is available year round too.
I love the strawberry. I don't like beer at all.
I don't either.
But I like the strawberry hard cider.
Mhm.
That one I really like.
Yes, and the strawberry hard cider is just our strawberries and our apples. There's nothing else added to it, but it's naturally a little bit sweeter than the original hard apple cider because it has the sugar from the strawberries in it. So that's also the one I prefer too. But the hard apple cider is also really popular. It's just a staple. But it's a little more like semi-sweet. So if you're more like a sweet, because I'm not a beer drinker either. So if it's more like a sweet hint in there, I'm like, that's my sweet spot. So
There you go.
yeah.
And strawberry hard cider just got started today. So the process to ferment it just got started today. Yep.
There we go.
It'll be here for strawberry season.
Yep.
And then for a little while after, but yeah.
You guys rent? Do you guys still rent out the loft for events?
Yeah.
And how many does that hold?
I think the capacity is maybe, it's on our website, maybe 100,
Yeah.
maybe a little less.
Maybe 80.
But yeah, it's available May through August, any day of the week. Weekend days are the most popular, but we have people renting it now for events. We do graduation, open houses, baby showers, bridal showers. People host events up there kind of all summer long. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a rustic venue. It's sweet, and a lot of people come up and see it and they're like, oh, this is perfect. It's casual enough, but it's, a good space, and it is a barn. There's no AC up there. So in the summer it's hot, but we open those windows and you get the natural light in, and it's really pretty, and it's a really fun place to have an event. So
It's a beautiful barn. And I think people just love coming on.
yeah, something about driving down the lane
Yes.
makes you just like,
Yes.
I'm in some open space for a little bit. So yeah.
Agreed. All right. One last question. Or is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about that I didn't hit on? When is registration closed for the run?
So the registration is open until the day before the race.
Okay.
The registration to include a T-shirt with your registration has closed.
Okay.
Because we have to place that order and get everybody's sizes and stuff.
Okay.
So we're ordering those today, actually. But you can still register up until the day before the race, which is the race is on the 25th of April. So the 24th is when the last day to register.
Okay.
So, and we will have shirts available for sale. But yeah, I'm excited. It'll be fun.
All right. Last question. One piece of life advice or something that you live by, or you like, that's the one thing advice that you would give to someone.
This is a good question for you. He's much more of an optimist than I am. So he'll have some positive advice.
Well, and so the other thing is, she's very type A, which I love her for. Super organized. She's a big planner, and planning is very important in any business. But I have learned over the years to be flexible with the planning, just for so many different reasons. But that's always like anytime a younger entrepreneur asks me about advice or anything, I always say, like, have a plan, do your homework, have as much knowledge as you possibly can, but when you're going to try something, don't have it be like, all my chips are on the table for this try, because it's probably not going to go the way that you envision it. And envisioning things is very important. You need to have an idea of what you want the outcome to be, but the process sometimes gets messy and gets changed a lot. So that's a big part of how we do new things on the farm. Like, we have an idea, but we go very carefully into it the first time, because if you have like this ironclad plan that you've worked on and you've trained your whole team on, and then 5 minutes in, the whole thing falls apart for some unforeseen reason, it can be very painful and frustrating. So I just like flexibility, I think, is
Flexible plans.
thing.
Yeah.
Flexible plans, yeah.
Mhm.
Flexible.
Yep.
I like
Which
that.
doesn't mean don't do your homework. Research and knowledge are the most important things, because they also allow you to adapt quickly when things do go wrong.
You get to depend on the weather a lot.
Mhm.
And in Indiana, that's always fun.
Mhm.
So
Flexible plans.
Yeah.
flexible.
Yes.
That's it. Flexible plans.
Yep.
All right. What do you have? What do you got? What you got?
Oh man. I guess mine would be, and maybe this is something that I'm still kind of working on, is prioritize like problem solving, I guess. So what's the most important thing to address? What matters the most? And kind of put other things that maybe are less important, or things that will impact you less toward the bottom of the importance list. I am easily stressed, so sometimes there are things that are so small that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things that I get hung up on. And so I'm trying to do better implementing that, but I think that's a really good way to approach operating a business, but also like in life. Just, is this really affecting me in my day-to-day, or is this something that I'm holding on to for, no reason? So kind of prioritizing addressing issues or solving problems and what's should be at the top of your list, what's the most important, and then working your way down. So, yeah.
Compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
Those are both great ones. Impressive.
And I think things that a lot of people deal with. I mean, I think there's a lot of kind of in your day-to-day, but also in business.
And personal life,
definitely.
Thank you guys both so much. I want to come back and do an apple tasting.
Absolutely.
Do you guys do apple tastings? I think we should do apple tasting.
We should do that.
Okay. I'm in.
We haven't done one before, but we will do one for you.
I think it would be fun to like really figure out, because, once we found Honeycrisp, that's what I buy.
Yeah.
And then, now it's kind of like, oh, okay, can't get Honeycrisp, what can I get?
Yeah.
So.
Well, he has such descriptions like of every apple, like, well, this one has this flavor, and can't you tell the difference between these 5? And if I eat one week and I eat one the next week, it's really hard for me to tell the difference. But if I sit down and eat a bite of 4 or 5 different apples, then you're like, oh, those do taste pretty different. Because a lot of times for people, they're like, an apple's an apple, right? Yeah. But then if you try, it's not, obviously, we know that. But a lot of the general public doesn't think they're that different. So, but if you do a tasting and you eat them one right after another, I think you'd be surprised by the differences. Yeah. So we should do that. That would be fun.
I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah. I think we'll plan it.
I like it.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.